In this video, what I want to do is share with you an experience that I had to do with mindset and goals and limiting beliefs. So there's a good friend of mine, Nathaniel, and Nathaniel's a mindset coach. And a couple of years ago, he invited me to go along to a workshop / retreat thing that he was hosting with a couple of other people. I'd been working with Nath for some time at this point on a professional level, and Nath is a good friend of mine. He was helping me with some mindset coaching, and in the past I'd helped him with some digital marketing. So we're quite friendly, and so I said yes to come along to this retreat. So when I got there, not knowing at all what to expect, and I met the other people that were there, and we were all sitting around and discussing a bit about what would make this an amazing weekend, what are we here for? What would be incredible if we fast forwarded 6 months and looked back? What would have to have happened to make this an amazing experience? For our lives, for our mindset, whatever it might be. And when it got to me, after everyone was sharing, I think I was actually first, so it started off with me, and I was talking about what would be amazing. And I wasn't really paying attention to what I was saying. Things were just kind of rattling off my head, and I was just kind of finding my way as I was speaking as to what exactly would be amazing. So I was just going with those things. And then after I'd kind of finished speaking, everyone was quiet, and Nathaniel was just kind of looking at me with seemingly a very small smirk on his face from memory. And he said to me something that really changed my perspective on what I think that I want in my life and my goals and what I'm allowing myself to want. And he said to me, after he heard what I want to achieve, he said, okay, so what would you want if you knew you couldn't fail? And then things totally changed in my mind. What I thought that I wanted, now that I had the thought that I couldn't fail, was totally different from what I wanted beforehand. Now, just by having that little frame as I'm thinking about my goals and what I want in my life, it really changed my perspective on my own thoughts, and just being a bit more aware of them as to, are they actually, how are they limited automatically? How am I doing something to limit my thoughts, or how are they being persuaded by things that I'm not really aware of? In this case, it was, I suppose, on reflection, it's that I thought that I was going to fail at something. So I just wouldn't put it out there to the universe or whatever, wouldn't put it in my goals as something I would want, because I would assume that I'm, not capable of doing that, or not worthy, or who knows what it is. But it was just interesting in that moment, the shift between the two things. What do I want in my life in 6 months on one hand, and then what do I want in my life in 6 months if I knew I couldn't fail, and the gap between those things being so large. So it was an interesting experience for me. I wonder if this is something you've ever experienced when you're setting goals and looking at things you want to achieve. Are you just limiting yourself to what you think you can do? And does it change? Is there a gap if you say to yourself, if you look at your goals, what you want to achieve in the next couple of months, and then you have another look at your goals, but with the frame of what would I want if I knew I couldn't fail? Is that different when you answer that question? What's the gap between those? How different are these things? Not with any judgment or anything like that, just purely out of interest. I think it's been a couple of years since that experience for me, and it's really been something that's played on my mind for a while, that I've just been noticing more and more where I might be getting myself kind of stuck in my own thoughts and in my own ideas of what's possible for me or what I can and can't do. And just remembering that moment really helps to helps remind me to ask that question. What would I want if I couldn't fail? Who says I'm going to fail at something? Who says you're going to fail at something just because, it's there? What are we limiting ourselves with our own minds and our own thoughts to not even take action on because we just think we can't get them? just a curious thing that came up. I'm definitely interested if anyone else has experienced something like this, or if this is an experiment that you've been able to do, and just what your thoughts are. All right, I hope this is helpful or interesting in some way. Cheers.